To stream. Here we are, guys, and I think we are about to be 3, 2, 1. Okay, there's the lag. Let's start. All right. Well, first off, good morning. Let me see. Yeah, we're live. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Very good morning. It's Thursday, August 26th, and we are. This is the breakfast runs with JP Warren, and with us today we have Mike Tessari, and we have Cody Rodriguez. We got the CEO and the COO of Iron Orchard Operators. That's a pretty big deal. If you know that's me, heavy hitters. And I'm kind of excited about this because, well, that's not good. Technical difficulties. To be expected.
Thank God we're not doing them. But Instagram is still live.
Instagram's still live.
How are you doing, Instagram?
Anything here?
Just hanging out. No, sir. It's saying PC.
Heather, sorry about this, everybody. Okay, well, everyone on Instagram, switch over to YouTube. We're about to go on YouTube. All right, sorry about that, everyone. Appreciate it. Till next time. That was odd. The battery's charged and everything.
It said something about tether.
No, it's not that. Let's just again. Okay. So this is our new camera that we'll be working with.
Awesome.
Does that work?
Yeah, it work.
Move this a little bit. Get that little ring light out. Man, there we go. There we go. Well, sorry about that, everyone. I guess we have some technical difficulties. Let me fire up the LinkedIn again to find out where we're at. No, I'm not live.
Mark is watching.
All right.
Mark's on there? All right.
We're about to say hello to some people and kind of. I think we're going to start this over. This never happened, but you know what? It's the oil field. Things happen in the oil field.
Anything can happen.
All right. Okay, so all right, now I think we're functioning now. Good morning, everyone. JP Warren, Mike Tessari, COO of Iron Orchard Operating, Cody Rodriguez, CEO of Iron Orchard Operating, heavy hitters, and we are recording this at the Fuse Workspace at City Center, Houston, Texas, right now. I'm kind of excited about this because this is the first breakfast run in an office that we've done. So that's pretty good, exciting news. So before we begin, let's say hi to a couple people. But I want to say today I got extra news for everyone out there. I'm going live again today at 4 p.m. on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And I'm going to be interviewing for Energy Crew Podcast this guy's neighbor, Drew Limbacher, the COO of Venture Energy. So looking forward to that. You going to tune into that?
I'll tune in.
All right, good. Well, all right, we got to support each other in the whole deal. So what else? Check out, this is brought to you by Connection Crew. I think it's the best industry networking, private, unique networking company out there. Hands down. Content creation, business development. So check out the LinkedIn page, Connection Crew. Let's get this kicked off. Let's say hi to some folks. Where's everyone listening in from having their breakfast run? We got Richard. Let me pull this up. Oops. Of course, we have issues.
You got Mark the Rock Sniffer on there.
Mark? Wait, is he in Fredericksburg right now?
Yes, he is in Fredericksburg.
I still need to go.
Sitting by the pool drinking coffee.
Still need to go visit with him. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm just going to read the names out because we had technical difficulties. We got Richard saying, morning from Houston. Fingers crossed there's no storm coming. Well, there probably is because this is Houston, Texas. Janae Kostak, good morning. Blazer game strong. Jordan Chris, I agree. I mean, we're in an office.
Yeah.
People don't go to offices anymore. You got to wear a blazer in an office.
I'm only wearing a blazer because I watched how good JP looked in one when everybody else not, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy who looks that bad compared to JP.
You know what though? Like I feel like, from this COVID and all that stuff, like people definitely are into like the work from home uniforms a lot lately. That's why I kind of like throwing a blazer. You know what I mean? Like
Lulu game is strong.
Lulu game is super strong. It's actually going from like Lulu, because when people actually went out and about Lulu, people care, to like Target brand. You know what I mean? Like no one really cares anymore. We got Mark. Guys cleaned up well. Ubiquitous breakfast taco in place. Okay. Ubiquitous breakfast tacos in place. Sorry. English is bad. John Reffer. Hello. Fredericksburg. John Cassiano. Alamo City. Morning, gents. Morning, Seth Hill. John Reffer at the house near City Center. I dig it. All right. Well, let's get this kicked off. We're actually having breakfast tacos and BTs today. And it's not really oil field, but it's okay. It's new oil field. It's from Sweet. So that's all I want to say about that. Thank you, Sweet. But they're pretty good apparently. So we're gonna dive into that. We got Frederick from Castle Pines, Colorado. Ross and McDonald, the Hurricane will line up nicely with my move here next week. Man, we can't wait to see you get down to Houston, man. I know you're coming from Oklahoma, bud. So we got to tag up when you get here. All right.
Can't wait to see Ross.
I can't wait to either. So anyways, all right, guys, let's get this kicked off. So we're here, we're eating tacos right now. The point of the breakfast run is, people obviously can't get to operators' offices anymore due to, we know why, we don't have to say it. So the idea of breakfast runs is let's bring some general oil field banter to the people out there, and just kind of have a general oil field activity conversation, find out, how people, can help y'all out, vice versa, and just kind of get to know y'all a little bit. So I guess let's start off now, and at the end of it, we'll probably be opening up for some questions. So stick around and let us know what you think, and connect with these guys and on LinkedIn, and check out their LinkedIn page, Iron Orchard Operating. So, Mike, Cody, talk to me. So tell me. So y'all are in this spot right now, infused right now. So what's been going on in y'all's world for the past 16 months?
Man, last 16 months. Well, we started. We fired up Iron Orchard in May 2019. So just now over 2 years.
Okay.
And
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Yeah, great time to start up a small little oil and gas company.
Right.
We had just wrapped up Q-Star 2, and we're at a wedding and needed something to do. Semi-retirement was not suitable at the time. So we were all at a wedding together, and Cody and I were talking about what's next, and we just said, we'd like to operate. That's what we and Cody did together at Q-Star, and we like.
So they worked together. They worked together at Q-Star before,
right?
So it's
We've
kind
been
of
together
cool.
for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Almost
10 years. Yeah.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah, together. So it's been, and we've been, we're together. We were great operationally. We did really, really well over there. Had some great bosses. Let us do a lot of cool things, and we just had a good fit, good yin and yang.
Oh, y'all had a great team over at Q-Star.
And it was phenomenal.
We were built like
Phenomenal.
a Ferrari. It was fun.
Yeah. Everybody had their piece, and it all just jived perfectly. Can't say enough about those guys over there. But coming out of it, those guys, they went into the when the market changed, they went into the non-op side, and we're operators. So we said, let's just go do this ourselves, and started just picking up some oil and gas assets.
So I kind of want to hear about that, if y'all don't mind. So Iron Orchard Operating, it's not a traditional E&P company, correct? You like that? I'm building it up. It's not a traditional E&P company, right? So explain to me, I guess, if y'all could kind of give me kind of a 30,000 foot view on how your company is different than other.
So that's probably that's two faceted. So our structure is a little different in the sense that we have 3 business lines, and so we operate and own our own assets.
Okay.
We do that with, call it friends and family money, and as John Simmons likes to say, family cubicles or family offices, small family offices, right? So that's kind of one, is a yield co type business, right? And then we grew into also doing contract operating. And so we contract operate for private equity groups and are in conversations with family offices and so just investors. And so we contract operate, which helps pay the G&A for owning our own assets.
Right.
And so, because we took a lot of our Q-Star winnings and dumped it in oil and gas. Luckily, we did that through 2019, 2020. And so what you could get in COVID is good to be selling now, right? And then the third thing is kind of we were the development arm, the really brute force arm of Q-Star and generally everywhere we've ever been. I mean, Mike used to run 10 Rich Roxy. So so now we're also getting into the kind of private equity game development, working with money guys on, we think we found an asset that really fits what we do and we're good at. And then how can we grow around that? So we're, thinking we're about to invest somewhere around $100 million or more, which would be outstanding. But the beauty of it is we don't have to, right? We can continue to contract operating. That business is growing. We can continue to buy more small assets. That business is growing. And so we're in a place where we can kind of control our own destiny and do whatever the market gives, right? Whenever 2020, we were buying assets. Why? Because production was cheaper than drilling and made better returns.
Right.
So prices are low, you buy production. When it's better returns to drill, you drill.
Stick to the
And
bit.
so we kind of have been small and nimble in the way that we can kind of go with the market, ebb and flow. And that was one of the things that we loved NCAP. Those guys were amazing to work with. But like by the end of it, we were at a place where the type of investments we were trying to make just didn't fit.
Right.
They needed $1 billion type deal. Whenever you've got $6 billion you need to invest, that's what you should be doing. And so there just wasn't a fit. And so
How was it for you, I guess, switching the mindset from going from the Q-Star, the flip model, stuff that people still wish was going on in this day and age, which is not going on. So how was
Not to the
that?
same extent.
it
Not
may
to the
be
same
it may be coming.
It may be coming
That's
back again.
with oil prices doing what they're doing, with people having to get back in, with all this consolidation, I don't think that there won't be another round of it in the next 10 years.
So another round of let's clarify kind of what that looked like with kind of like Q-Star.
So I don't think there's ever going to be just you buy a ton of land and then flip that. But I think that there will be a lot of assets shed from some of these bigger operators that are aggregating, right? I think ESG is going to play a large role. Some of the assets that people had are going to be aggregated by the Merit Florida Elite types, right? In a large way, Presidios, backed by Morgan Stanley, right? They're going to aggregate a lot of assets as well. But there's also going to be these kind of non-core, second-tier shale pieces that pop off that are great returns, but just don't make it in the portfolio whenever you've got everything else great.
Right.
And that's what private equity is big companies get too big, have things that are non-core, somebody with a little bit of ingenuity and a lot of, guts.
Guts.
There you go, guts. Right? Goes to take a shot on it and makes it.
Right.
And if you've got the right subsurface view on things, it's not as risky as people might think, because it's the same recipe a lot of times with small tweaks, right? And so, sometimes there's new recipes, and that's even funner, to be honest. And so that's the thing that makes us different, is our structure is just completely different. And the other thing is we've worked at a lot of places. We've been around the oil field, and it's a pretty cutthroat place, right? And I think the old guard is retiring, and the new guard is coming in. And it's one of those things where Mike and I both don't quite fit in either group. We're not, so he's Gen Xer pretty much, and I'm Gen X millennial, like on the edge of it.
Okay.
So, and so basically love it. With that, we are a little bit different, right? And the other thing is we're just very unapologetically Christian. And so it's one of those things where any and everybody who works here, one of the first conversations we have with them is, here's the deal. We're going to run this entity like I'm not the CEO. We're going to try to run it like God is the CEO and ask those kind of questions, right? Like, is it the right thing to do?
Right.
Our industry does not have a big history of that, right? And so we've told family offices that wanted us to come in and operate for them, look, guys, would love to make that exuberant amount of money to take this, but here's really what you need to do with the asset. That's not what's best for you.
More times than not, that's kind of how a lot of those conversations go.
They're like, here's your asset,
guiding
here's the
people
truth
directly.
of it.
Yeah. I can take your money, but this is the way you guys need to go.
Here's what it looks like. And we think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to build a brand, is because whenever we go sit down with a guy and say, hey, look, man, here's what's best for you.
Yeah.
And I would rather do what's best for you than I would what's best for us if it's just making money. So our goals are not just money. We did quite well at Q-Star, selling for $1.6 billion. Everybody there did well.
Yeah.
Right? We do this because we love it. We don't do it because we have to. And that gives us the ability to be different, right? Like, we don't have to yell and scream and cuss at people. We don't have to.
That's that old guard mentality. I pay from the neck down.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
So okay. So what are you guys seeing right now? I guess in the market, when I guess in each of those, whether it's the financial side, the contract operating side. So what are you guys kind of seeing in that? Are you seeing kind of more challenges in one versus the other?
I think on the contract operators, I'll let Cody speak on more on the P side. On the contract operating side, what we're seeing, you'll talk with Pete, our land guy. Like, you're seeing there's a lot of money coming in from outside right now. There's a lot of money out there, and I'm not talking about PE. I'm just talking about guys in Florida that have a bunch of cash and want to put it to work.
Miami. Yeah, I got a call from Miami and another call from Cali.
And, and they're saying, I got money, I got friends with money. We want to put it to work in the oil field because the returns are good now again. But at the same time, we live in Miami and we don't want to contract operate assets in the Permian Basin. It's like, so we get a lot of calls like that. I've got calls from California about, hey, we got a bunch of money. It could be .comers. They want to put some money to work, but again, they don't want to operate. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we fit very well with that. So we're getting a lot of that, as well as, we work for a couple different companies right now for PE as well, doing contract operating, which really helped us get off the ground. I'm very thankful that they were there to help us out and get going and help us build that brand. But it's because of that we've been able to really field a lot of calls like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things too is one of the things that people like is who do you work for, and then have you grown your aspects of them? And so we work for private equity group, and then they asked us to take over more and more to help them out. And so that's kind of speaks for itself on the contract operating side. On the flip side of that, I've explained the thought process for contract operating to multiple people. And Pete, actually, our land guy and VP of commercial, went by somebody's booth at NAPE, and after I had explained and told them how I would contract operate for them, they had the ability to be a contract operator on their flyer of what they do. And I was like, no, that's awesome.
Dude.
So that's one of those things where when you're different and you look, you're more than willing to be just completely open and transparent and have, honestly integrity and make people feel comfortable about what it looks like, that it could bite you, but it's okay. Like, I'm not even mad. I just think it's funny.
No, it's one of those things that is kind of upsetting too. But when you see someone kind of emulate what you're doing, either you can take it like, oh, that's bogus, or it's like, you know what? I'll take that as a compliment. I'll take that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
So y'all weathered the storm. Y'all are here. It's post-COVID. We're sitting in an office, and so where are we going after this? Where's Iron Orchard going? Like, where do y'all want to go?
I want to go to field now.
Yeah, let's go. Where are we going?
So the way we look at it is the contract operating continues to grow. The basically putting together $1 million perspective and business plan and all that is active underway. We're talking to multiple private equity groups right now. And so that's one of those things where we're going to take it as it comes, right? And so we've got an opportunity to buy into something and contract operate some other things. There's opportunities in all three of the buckets. Okay. And we're just going to layer them on as they come.
Are you finding like the conversations with private equity? Obviously, you need to answer this. You don't have to answer this. Is it what we're hearing pretty much, or what we're feeling? That's a lot of ESG focused.
Some of them are. There's some of them are, right? Yeah. But a lot of them are way before you ever get there. You've got to get comfortable. And so in the private equity world, we're talking to some guys that we've known for a long time. Yeah. And then we're also talking to guys who we haven't known for a long time, because there's, again, newer money. They haven't. This to be real, the private equity game has made a lot of money, but oil and gas as a whole has lost a lot of people money in the last 10 years. Right? And so the beauty is a lot of the guys who weren't in for the last 10 years are sitting very pretty, right? They're like, we couldn't understand the returns because outside the buy and flip, a lot of times people lost money. Yeah. And the pricing was hard and we weren't hedged, and there's so many things, right? And so now we're not seeing that, right? Like, I think it's one of the things is, a lot of people greenwash stuff so much. Look, there was not a podcast, but a seminar that just got put on that was carbon is the new sulfur. And I think that actually wraps it quite well. We're going to have and I think Pickering said on a podcast as well, this is the decarbonization, right, of the oil field. And so sulfur used to be a problem, and now we have a whole bunch of regulations around it. Right. And it's just, we live our everyday lives. It's not a problem. And so now I think those type of regulations are going to come in. The government's going to actually be a little bit stiffer on their regulations around flaring and venting and all that. And so one of the things that we struggle with is that a lot of times regulators haven't been in the business. Yes. They're very intelligent people, but they're a little ignorant to really some of the things and how they happen. And so they don't regulate where they ought to, but they over-regulate some things that are kind of irrelevant.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like you got to be not just be in the industry. You need to know how the industry operates. Number one. Number two it's like one of those things. Like if I'm sitting at the office, I can't tell if I've never been to the rig or anything like that. I can't tell them the proper way to get in the man ride or something. I can't do that. I can't tell them unless I can write all these policies and procedures about you have to use this shackle and this shackle. And next thing you know, it doesn't make sense because it's not practical.
And there's a lot of that in the industry, right? Like a lot of the folks out there, like Mike and I both lived in the field for a long time before we ever started in the office. And the reason is I've got 40 years to my thought process at 21 when I started was I've got 20 years to tell people what to do. Yeah. I need to go learn. And so I, as much as possible, went up to the old gray hair guy and said, man, I don't know anything. Engineering degree is lovely, but I'm clueless out here. Can you help me? And I watched them bend over backwards. I mean, your field guys are some of the most important things you've got.
And they want to teach you.
And they want to.
Yes.
I've also seen some guys who came out there real cocky-eyed, did great in engineering school, and they murdered those guys. I mean, it was bad to watch how mean and how terrible they were to them. But it's all just what was your attitude walking in. And so we keep the attitude of humble and hungry. We have been to the field. We've operated assets. We've operated large assets and small assets. And so it's one of those things where we've done a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
And that's what gives us the freedom to play in multiple realms. I mean, like, to be honest with you, we're also looking at something that is a little bit more ESG focused because we're not. Yeah. We try to look at a new vertical every quarter.
Okay.
It's kind of cool. We did a little research into solar. We did a little research into batteries. Not enough to take our focus off where we're really good.
Yeah, but it's in this whole
just
side
enough to learn.
it. Yeah.
Just enough to learn. Right? Is there something really cool there, right? And the carbon capture and a lot of that is where a lot of people are running that are oil field companies because they just don't have anything to do. There's a lot of companies who've made their bet in oil and gas and who are just kind of there.
Yeah.
And so now they got to find some reason why the private equity company or their backers don't roll them up with the next guy who could probably operate better. And so they're looking and researching and figuring out things. And a lot of that rolling up already happened, and there's still some that
it's still happening.
There's still consolidation.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the game is in the upstream space, it's going to be consolidation. And so on the other side of consolidation is, oh man, we have too much stuff.
Yeah.
Right? We have things that aren't what we really need. The market's not giving us credit for it. The whole parent-child deal, people are finally figuring out. So they're realizing, man, I don't have as many locations like I thought. So they're having to buy locations. And they're having to really look at, is something accretive to them? Right? Is something going to make them a better company? Right? That's a good friend of mine. We're talking about assets, and they said, man, I can't buy anything if it's not accretive or it doesn't make our asset and returns better. He's like, if I bought at 60 going to 50, now I'm buying at 70, that makes it even harder to buy today. Right?
Is that a different mindset than kind of was in the industry before?
Yeah, because it was, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to make this much production, and they're going to pay me this dollar per acre.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm like, dollar per acre is a lovely banker math number, but it's really, what is the present value? What is the return I'm going to make? And what drilling schedule am I really going to be following?
Really, yeah, exactly.
Right? Because if I don't follow the drilling schedule, then it's not worth what.
Then what you
all
bought
those
it off
numbers.
doesn't work exactly.
Exactly. And so that's where we did a lot of things that didn't make a ton of sense, but at the same time, the street told us we had to, right? You have to grow, you have to grow, you have to grow.
Yeah.
Growth at all costs.
Yep.
Well, that's not the oil field's fault, right? The oil field, have to do generally what the investors ask for because they own the company.
Yeah.
That's why right now.
And that's where we got our margin orders.
Yeah.
And we screwed the pooch.
And which is why now we own the company. And when we do things with people, we're going to be sure to target, smart people that think like us so that we can do the right things and we don't have to worry about what that's going to say. And so when you ask about the ESG, we want to be smart about it. We want to be good stewards about it. But you can't let it run your business.
Yes,
that's right.
I love that concept right there. And I remember I had a podcast with Ryan Keys over at Triple Crown Resources. And
I know Ryan.
Oh yeah, I love that dude.
He's a good dude.
And we mentioned he's gonna be on the breakfast run. Stay tuned. Not today, but another day. Anyway, but he was mentioning he's like, look, we looked at the methane that was leaking. It was like 6% or something like that. They hired a plane, flew it over, fixed the leaks, all in $26,000, right? And he's like, but then we made that money back in 5 days. Yeah. Now it's a profit. So it's kind of just he's switching your mind shift from like, okay, this is driving our business. We have to do this versus let's do this but make money. Right. Yeah, let's make some money. Let's operate like a business.
There's a lot of assets out there where it's just not that simple too, right? So that's where it ties into what Cody's saying, where these guys have to start looking at what do they want to start working on? What do they need to get rid of, right? I mean, how do we clean up the oil fields, right? Just because there's a lot of wells out there that are stranded that you might not be able to tie that in for sales, right? So, and DRW, on the energy crew the other day, was saying the same kind of thing. They were talking about capturing methane and this, that, and sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. So they need to find alternatives to what can they do with those wells, and you have the P&A, and what do you got? How are you going to clean them all up? So I think we're thinking some ideas on that too on the ESG side.
So is that they, like, are we waiting for the government to tell us what to do? Or?
No, not they, like these bigger companies.
Okay.
Like,
In general.
Right.
Like
General big companies. Yeah.
Exxon, Shell, like, just go do it's easy to do the research, which we have done.
Very simple. Yeah.
How much money they have in liability in wells they need to plug. Right? You look at some of the Chevron stuff that's been happening lately.
Yep.
That well, that's a well they're fighting that they've been plugged for 50 years. There's a whole wave of potential problems that are about to hit our industry.
I feel like it's happening right now, though. It's kind of bubbling up.
It's bubbling up, but like the wave is a tsunami potentially, right? Like if that well's bad because there was any kind of secondary, tertiary, the cement is corroding from the outside. How many wells are there in the Permian where there's water flood, CO2 flood around there?
Yeah. We used to drill those intercept wells every year up in this Permian, like I say, but and they're very expensive wells just to get good cement line pipe to P&A. These wells, they're extremely expensive. So people need to be starting having these conversations. They absolutely be having these conversations.
But no one wants to have them.
No, and it's kind of just sweeping under the bed.
Yeah,
right?
let's wait till we have to.
Well, here's the deal. There's not how many rigs, Mike, are there doing P&As
Turn
right now?
your.
Oh,
we want to see your beautiful face.
Not enough. There's not nearly enough P&A crews out there.
No, there's not.
And the state, the railroad commission. I mean, they're trying to do their thing, but they're so far behind. They'll never catch up with all the wells that need to be done.
I mean, they honestly, we don't fund them enough. We don't give them enough. There's just not enough people. Like, those poor guys have been behind. I mean, we've got a regulatory department that knows most of them by name. And it's kind of difficult for them, right? Like, especially, they're working from home and they can't get all their files. They weren't set up for that. The government, so it's antiquated technology, et cetera, right? So, I feel for them. And so it's one of the things where they don't get the support they need, which makes it more difficult on them, which is eventually going to make it more difficult.
Yes.
We need to take more, as operators, we need to take more responsibility on ourselves too, in getting these wells P&A or taken care of or in good operating condition. So I think there's going to be a space for smaller guys to come in and help the bigger guys do that.
There's some work right there.
There's a lot of it. And again, we're looking at some of these things.
Oh, okay.
Well. Yeah,
so, but that's one of the other things that with that tidal wave coming of potential P&As and all this other stuff, what it really may do is knock out your mom and pops, right? Because what the Railroad Commission ought to do, what the government ought to do, is regulate the top 20% of the producers, and that'll be 80% of your emissions. That's the 80-20, right? So that's what they ought to be doing.
Slap the blanket.
Yes, because honestly, that's just going to kill a lot of production.
And we're some of those mom and pops, right, with smaller producers wells in West Texas and whatnot. So
And so that's one of the things where, we go out there, we see it. What's it going to look like? What's it going to be, right? And so you're going to shut in. I mean, massive fields. But the problem is this: the bonds that the Road Commission requires, not near enough to plug the wells.
No.
I mean, nowhere close. So there's the big wave, and there's even 501c3 companies started.
Yeah, that's what TJ Slocum started the relief, the abandoned well relief program.
Right, and so that's a big deal. That P&A is going to be a wave.
Yeah.
And it's coming, but nobody's thinking about it right now because when prices are high, we don't have to.
We don't like thinking about it. Yeah, you're right.
Better returns to be made elsewhere, right? So, and capital's going to go where it gets treated best every time.
And here's the deal: if the street is happy with where we are right now, reducing things and putting out cash flow, the yield in Devon is tremendous. The not convertible yield, but the yield that goes up and down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I think their yield last week or last month, I can't remember what it was like 10%. It's crazy. And so we're not trading at the stocks high enough, and some of the ESG stuff is trading at 40x their EBITDA, and you're like, that will eventually come.
Yeah.
Will eventually come to bear.
So where do you? I guess if we're sitting here talking breakfast run, I'm saying, all right, guys, what are y'all looking for? I guess for assistance with or help or anything like that, where would y'all need more support or anything like that? And when you're looking at these deals, when you're looking at this, is there something that's not that could fill the gap?
mean, honestly, we've put together the team that has we're pretty well rounded. And brought in, we figured out what we needed and kind of brought it all in.
Okay.
And so right now, we're just working with opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. And so what opportunity sets are out there? Right. Working with, the beauty is we get to work with people we like you.
I love that.
Right?
I dig that.
I mean, it's not very many people that have 2 daughters that are both blonde, that are both born within a few weeks of each other.
About 3 weeks.
Yep. Both named Evelyn.
Both named Evelyn.
Exact same age.
96 months. That's for the engineers out there. She just turned 96 months on Monday. So, what else, guys? I mean, what are you excited about right now about the industry and kind of where y'all are going, where Iron Orchard's going? Is there a lot of excitement?
I think what works on the contract operating side, and like Cody's saying too, we're working on all these 3 different facets. But on the contract operating side, being able to we're actually like solving problems. Shout out to the guys over at Brazos and Pecos River. They gave us a shop, and then we were able to go in there and really help them drive down. They bought some great assets that had hair on them, and and that's perfect. That means there's work to be done. And at the end of it, we were able to show like, okay, we've dropped LOE from some cases from 30% all the way down to some cases where it's 80% drop in LOE on some of the
That's gotta
assets
be fun to do, though.
It is. It's great, and we like to help people out. We get paid to help people out, but at the same time, it's we're doing the right thing, right? And staying small, staying nimble. It's just a lot of fun. It's just what we love to do. We were just born to operate, and that's why we started this company really to begin with.
And so pretty much y'all could have walked away about 3 years ago and just kind of done something. The Crocs 2.0.
We did for a month.
We did for a month, yeah.
And then, but what brought you back? What brought you back to the old
It's the
field?
mob, right? It's the mafia. Godfather too, right? It's just when you think you're out, they suck you back.
No, but I mean, this guy's got a license plate Wolfcamp, all right? So obviously there's some love for our industry.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Where else? I mean, there's no other industry where people from all over the world, like you'll be sitting on a job site and there's a guy from Nigeria and a guy from India and he's an engineer from Europe, from Norway, right? And everybody's bringing in their knowledge and experience, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but there's nowhere else in the world where people can come together and work together towards the same goal. You ever try to see governments do that together? Like it's a cluster. So there's no other industry I've seen. I've been able to work in Colombia and Indonesia and the Arctic Circle and Mexico and Central America. I've gotten to go and work with a lot of different people, and there's nowhere else out there, another industry that really ties people together like we do. And it's big dollars. It's a lot of fun. It's big machines. It's big Tonka trucks. I mean, it's
pretty much grown-up kids too.
It's just
You know what I mean?
grown-up
We have
kids.
some of the
Excitement.
funnest people
with the
in our
excitement of
industry.
it,
Yeah.
because things can get hairy, right? And it's scary, and there's danger involved too, and we try to mitigate that as best we possible.
Right.
And looking at an industry as a whole, we do a great job at that. People always want to hate on the oil and gas industry, but we do a great job of mitigating risk in what we do. So, but no, there's no other industry like the oil and gas industry, and I think it's just I've got to meet all kinds of people.
So y'all cats were almost out. You're like, we're not
Yeah,
leaving.
so
We're not leaving.
I mean,
Cody was
after-
what, 35? I was 36. No, you're 32 or something. Yeah, it was like we had way more in us. Lots of them to do. You were thinking about going to school. I think I was.
What were you gonna do for
I
what?
like school. Well, I mean, I generally like school. Like,
What were you gonna go to school for?
so if I were just going to school because I enjoyed it, I always wanted to get an MBA. So I anticipate eventually getting an MBA
Okay.
and running a marathon. Like by 40, I want to do those things just because I like it.
Okay.
Right? And so I ran a half marathon not long ago. I've got 2 more coming up. And so eventually, next, however long, I'm going to run a marathon. And so get an MBA is one of those things. Just why not?
No,
Okay.
God,
Me too. Those should
I'm
be-
not even saying I want to be running some of these other things.
But you're saying it here in the breakfast room, so now you gotta have to do it.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt. By 40, I will do it. Right?
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, I could run it today. It would just hurt real bad. So I was a wrestler, and so the pain
I know. I
of what
walked
it takes.
upstairs this morning twice, and I'm over it.
I ran 4 miles before we got here, and I was slow compared to my 5 miles 2 days ago. That one was great. This one sucked. But anyways, and so the thing that's exciting to me is being able to kind of attract the team. The most exciting part to me is the team that we've built, right? Because we've got guys that came from different subsets, and everybody just feels like, man, I feel like there's a gap here, and then God gives us somebody just to fill
It
it.
just has the perfect
Every time.
what you need.
And everybody
Every
is humble, hungry, and hustlers. Nobody here actually came from any money. I grew up in a metal building, literally. Like before barndominiums were cool, that's what I lived in.
Okay.
Right? Like back then it was a
So it's just a barn.
it's just a shed.
It's just a
basically.
barn, no minium. Sans menu.
You had the you had a house in the front, right? But it was on 6 acres. We had a tractor for everyone.
Right.
There you go.
I'm from South Louisiana, so like that's one of the things we love about the oil field. Is like South Louisiana is the oil field.
Oh, yeah.
The oil field is South
Oh
Louisiana.
yeah,
Like
that's true.
you'll find Cajuns everywhere.
Where'd you grow up in South Louisiana?
Right outside of Baton Rouge.
Okay. All right.
So proud LSU Tiger. And so
That's fine. Oh, someone said go Tigers already here. A couple
Yeah.
people. All right. That's fine.
it'll be interesting to see what the SEC looks like now with UT. coming.
Yeah,
I
what's-
mean, like I'll be honest, the Aggies got host. It's gonna be really hard for you guys to recruit and then keep up. But now that you've got the Super Conference going on, it'll be great for us not to have to play Alabama every year.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Unless
it's in the SEC championship, which sounds great.
I just hope they all have fun out there. I mean, that's
Well,
what's
they're all
I
getting
just hope
paid,
they all have
so I
fun.
hope it doesn't turn into professionals, right?
So,
Like,
I don't know. SEC's kind of already professional athletes, in my opinion.
yeah, but they're not getting
Yeah,
paid the
absolutely.
same
Way
way.
better.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so I don't watch professional stuff anymore because it's
Yeah.
not for the love of the game anymore, and that's why we're doing what we do is because we still play for the love of the game.
Good way to tie
Whoa,
that back
man.
in,
Oh,
Cody.
good.
Real
I did
nice.
not see that coming.
Unbelievable.
Right?
Hats off to you. So let's you guys got anything else you want to bring up? Because before we start opening this up to the people that are watching, the people at home in their work from home clothes. You got anything else you want to bring up, plug, and all stuff? By the way, Cody's not just saying that. I met the group at Iron Orchard Operating, like awesome people. Not only that, like we'll celebrate birthdays, our kids' birthdays together, sleep over. Like it's legit group over here, smart group.
We
How's
did
it?
Daddy and Daughters.
We did daddy-daughter date. You can see the picture on Connection Crew LinkedIn page. How has it been, I guess, one last question from me. Sorry, everyone out there. One last question from me. How's it been, networking such a broad word, but when it comes to like meeting with people that you need to meet with, how about that? When it's like getting in front of the people that you need to meet with, whether it's the private equity side, whether it's the looking at these deals, whether it's this. I mean, has that been challenging for y'all?
Not, I'm gonna say not overly, really.
Okay.
We spent our entire Mike is like a social butterfly.
He is.
Mike, he doesn't know it as many people as you, but he knows a lot.
Cody,
of
we got a
people.
good
Everyone
Cody has a
knows
good
him.
dynamic. Cody's very good. He's very outspoken. He can just spit it all out. It rolls off real. Everyone looks at me like I'm a psychiatrist. I can sit there and people just want to talk. And so that's what makes us a good team when we go into meetings.
Are you
together.
judging when people are
Not
talking,
at all.
or are you just
Not at all.
listening?
I'm actually, you can ask Cody. I'm the guy who remember your kid's name and your cousin's name
Okay.
and like the birthday. But
What's beautiful is he might remember your kid's name and not yours.
that is absolutely.
I'm so bad with names, dude.
And I
That's
mean,
horrible.
so one of the things we try to do is one of the things we talk about. And so like every conversation we have, we pray before it. We try to love, like actually love people, right? And
Yeah.
so, so Mike, people just feel love when you remember things about them. And so that's one of the things where generally we
We had a boss who's the same way, and it just makes it opens people up a lot.
Wait,
more.
the dude who went to Metallica with?
No, it was our CEO.
Okay.
Yeah.
We went to go see Metallica together a couple years back.
That was great.
Thanks. Nick Phillips.
Nick Phillips and David Newman, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
good time.
And so so it's we're doing that. And so one of the things for us is what we found in this business is that's one of the things we love about the oil field too is that it's 100% still a relationship business.
Yes.
Big time.
Like, even the
Can you say that again? Because people are doing these. What is the oil field?
a relationship business.
Okay.
And I mean, I think that's one of the big things you see. I mean, you see some of the giant billion-dollar deals happening, father, son, people who've known each other for 20 years, people who've, right? It's one of those deals where that's still actually how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
A lot of our success.
it'd be great to go to blockchain, right? But the oil and gas system the ecosystem just doesn't support it yet.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I say that Mike's got a crypto business as well, but at the same time, that's just not who our business is.
Yeah.
So we've had more success in our investors, in our investments, in our contract operating, in PE with either us knowing a guy or us
Being introduced.
trusting a guy who introduced. And so basically is if you don't have an introduction and you're cold calling, it's dang near impossible.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost.
And that's the thing too. I mean, you brought up a good point, Cody. I mean, you have to have that trust in order, especially if you're talking about like these multi-million, billion-dollar. You need to have that trust. Well, I don't care if it's that or you're selling someone a bit. Like that trust has to be there that you're doing the right thing for them and yourself. You're trying to take care of everyone at the table,
Right.
not be this snake oil sales. There's a reason that term came about. So, all right. Anything else, fellas?
No, let's hear it.
All right, if anyone's got any questions right now, there's a little bit of lag, but it's fine. We'll just go ahead and open it up over here. See, it's weird, man. It shows like there's 24 people watching, then you go to this stream where it shows that there's 2. I don't get it. Anyway, let's say hi to some folks and try to get some questions. All right. Lane Peeler, do you guys have on gym shorts and blazers?
Sadly, no.
Stay tuned to find out. That's in the
It'll be in the blooper reel.
Yeah, that's in the blooper reel.
No.
Charlie Parks, good morning from Kingwood. Good morning. Oh, this is the Go Tigers right here. Alex saying Go Tigers. All right. Todd's chiming in.
Hook 'em from
Hook'em,
ATX.
ATX.
My wife will like that.
Yeah, your family's a huge UT fan, right?
Sky is.
Even though
I
you went
married
to
into
Montana.
it. Yeah, I married
It's
into it.
okay. It's okay. We got Pittsburgh. I dig that.
There you
What's
go.
up, Tony? Good morning from Midland, and that's sorry whoever said that. It's not. We got old DJ. Good morning, gents. Wow, that's a bold and respectable mission statement. Love it. I think that was about doing the right thing
yeah.
all the time. I dig that. Jordan, God is good. Refreshing to hear. It sounds like you need to hear it more. Love to see the passion for doing good work and God's work too. I dig it. Matthew Hill, no need to flare now. We can mine Bitcoin. Oh, it's the Bitcoin train.
True.
Okay. We definitely don't need more government regulations.
I couldn't agree more.
Don't
with
even
that.
get, look, you don't want to get started on that right now. Don't get us started on the governments right now. All right?
Good luck buying equipment for a Bitcoin mine, though.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's tough.
Great breakfast.
Oh, Brett Stout.
Brett Stout. Dig it, man.
Fireball.
I love that. Got Fireball. Yeah, it's a little too early for that. But for Stout, I would do it.
Yeah.
For Stout, I would do anything.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. J.R. Royce, great run, guys. Enjoy this from East Texas. What a blessing to see a company based on Christian morals and principles. God is good. Thumbs up,
Yeah.
cowboy. Cowboy emoji, just like his profile pic. I dig that. So let's see if anyone has any questions. Great breakfast run. Cody was always studying in college.
Who was that?
That was Ross.
Oh,
Ross.
yeah.
You were always studying in college.
Well,
That's not a bad. But
well,
time out,
that's-
that's not a bad reputation to have.
well, it's not. But at the same time,
I think it is.
here's the
I don't
big
know.
difference. Here's part of
Why
what
did we party?
made me, right? Like, I had a wife and a kid in college. So I wasn't out partying, doing whatever. I made
How old were you at SEAL?
18.
18.
So,
Don't be studying.
No messing around.
right? So, my wife and I both went to college. And so it was one of those things where everybody else was there for the fun. And it was a job,
Yeah.
right? Like, I realized I could make more writing scholarship letters than I can the part-time job that I had. So I wrote scholarship letters and I studied. And honestly, I tutored other people because I just enjoyed it. And so I went to every freaking SPE event there was.
But you've always been that way about tutoring, coaching,
Being
advising.
helpful as possible.
You've been very. I mean, I remember sitting with you for the Daddy Daughters power breakfast, if you would call it that. And like, you had some great, it's just very I don't know, very supportive, great new ideas, very supportive. I just love getting that guidance from you, man. I really dig that. Okay.
Thank you.
Cody got me through petroleum engineering. There you go.
Who was that?
Got Alex Furnock.
We got Jared.
So me and Flo. Flo was brilliant, by the way.
Yeah.
I would study, and then I would take 45 minutes before a test and teach him everything he needed to know about the test. And without fail, Alex made at least a B, and that was the only studying he did, period. So I was like, Alex, I think you may be smarter than me because you just get me to help you. And it was a perfect review for a test. And so, but it was a nice,
But you also don't want that 4.0 student, you know what I mean? You want that 3.0 student that, that's good at what they do, but they have the people skills too.
I mean, I had a 3.9, so I can't say too much.
Look, I'm just saying in general, go with me, man.
No Montana Tech people in there, huh? Come on, guys. No Montana Tech folks.
No Montana. I'm sure there's some Montana folks chiming in.
That was a-
We got Jared Simone,
Oh, absolutely.
Cody Rodriguez. Who are your go-to people when you are looking for equipment?
Not my job.
Not my job.
got a couple group guys. Actually, there's two groups we use consistently.
Now, is that from your previous roles, knowing these people for a long time in your career, and what is that?
Mine came through Cody, some of them, and then also actually some were some new ones we made out in West Texas when we did Q-Star. So there were some
A lot
new guys
of
that came
guys.
recommended to us. So they came through relationships.
Yeah, relationships.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Everything, yeah. So a lot of it was whenever I was in Memorial, we started stuff
I
up.
remember that.
I mean, we were blowing and going, 3 rigs running, and it was literally me and a bunch of field guys, and then there was 3 engineers who ran the entire of all the operations for the first 2 years, and it was all we could do to keep up, right? Sleeping 4 hours a night kind of stuff. And so the guys who weren't snake oil salesmen that it seemed like we could trust, that's what we went with. And they've been with us for 10 years generally.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about. Relationships, trust, friendships, and all that stuff. John Renfro said, you mentioned ESG is here to stay for the near future. Are there ways you are improving your ESG rating while reducing LOE at the same time? John, brainbuster.
Well, yeah, I mean, we just finished doing a lot of that for one of the contract operating groups we did in East Texas. You know, I was capturing a bunch of flaring and leakage testing, and went through there. Like, it's the same story. I mean, $33,000, and now, you know, we're probably making another 200, 300, 400 MCF a day, which probably pays for itself in a month.
See?
So, but again, there was an area where gas could be tied in for sales, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of places where you can't capture it. Like, we have lots of assets that are stranded that if you can't capture it, you're shutting in the well, and now you have an inactive well. So you've taken a well that make 20 barrels a day and flare, you know, 20 MCF a day, and no ability to tie into gas sales. And what do you mean? You got to be careful. Like Cody, it ties in what Cody says. You got to be careful on the regulator side, because these guys just come in and say it doesn't matter if it's leaking. You got to shut it in, or you have to put it to sales. And if you can't put it to sales, that shuts you in. And now all of a sudden you have an asset that was making money to becoming a liability.
Well, one of your big ESG potential problems is midstream. It is the gas tie-ins, right?
Gas is a pain in the butt.
Because basically there's
Is midstream focused on ESG? I'm not really plugged into midstream.
I'm not saying it is or isn't. It's
Okay.
more of
Yeah,
they're not getting beat up about it quite as much as
Yeah,
me.
we're getting beat up.
We don't have, you know, there are pipelines that didn't get put through going from different
Right.
places. So as a whole,
we could get political on that right now.
Well, no. We don't. We're not going.
We should do a morning show. Just
There
we
you
should do
go.
a morning
Yeah,
show of
absolutely.
like
You wanna
oil field
capture-
politics.
If you want to capture flaring and venting, let us put pipelines in the ground, guys. That's all there is to it. You have to put in pipelines, or it's just going to keep going in the air.
And if there's an expensive fee to monitor or to put your meters in, and there's a minimum commitments, like these minimum commitments and meterings, it's just hard for the midstream to operate that way. So your small gathering systems are either gonna have to find a new solution, and mining Bitcoin is one, right? But
there's only
there's only so many you can do,
Right.
right? And it's a little hot out in the Permian, and so mining Bitcoin in the Permian is a little bit more difficult.
Right.
That's the big thing about mining, is you got to keep it on
Yep.
cool. And so there has to be a solution created, and some of that we're looking into, right? There has to be a solution created to take it where you can, a well that's venting 10, 20, 30 MCF kind of thing, or flaring, you can do something with it, because outside of that, that's just going to be how it is.
Yeah.
Right, and there's thousands and tens of thousands of wells that are doing this, but at the same time, that's nothing compared to one new well flaring 10 million a day or 2 million a day for a month, right? And so that's where, like, what are we really going to be focused on?
Yeah. Like you said, the 80-20 rule. I think that's where they
And
really
the flaring isn't quite as much of a problem that, like, if you look at it on a percentage basis, as a lot of the other things that are happening.
Right.
So
It's easy target.
easy target.
easy to
Super easy target. And so I guess we're gonna wrap this up right now. So you said you ran 4 miles this morning.
Sure.
And so you're staying fit, you're staying healthy, you're getting out there, you're working out. You work out every morning, right? And it's good to have a partner that works out with you, right?
Sure.
So let's talk about this. Your workout partner is my guest at 4 p.m. today, none other than Drew Limbacher.
Well, to be fair,
What?
Drew is my workout partner, right?
Yes.
And I've got another one who's also in the oil field,
Okay.
Juan Vasquez. But the only problem is Drew hasn't been working out much since
Load up.
Spencer. I mean, like, when you buy a couple $1 billion deal,
You got to
you're the
reprioritize
COO.
stuff.
Yeah, and so there's lots of, trash talking that happen and laughter about it. But yeah, Drew, we're gonna talk about it.
Drew.
Maybe you should talk about it for your workout schedule.
Well, we will talk about it for you.
And-
Just had a new baby.
Just it's awesome, right?
I know.
3 E names. It's so messed up. All of our daughters, there's 5 daughters, all E names
I love that.
between the 2 of us, and they're all
3 of us are 6.
and all of them are blonde, but one of mine. And so it's hilarious when it's just like all these little blonde girls name E things. But no, so it's one of those things where it'll be very interesting to see how much. But Drew is just a beast. I mean,
I know.
Drew is my height and 40 pounds of muscle more.
Did he do like jujitsu or?
So I still do jujitsu. He used to. So
Oh.
Drew's done jujitsu and he's done, I think, kickboxing, and he was a defender in soccer.
Yeah.
And he's crazy fast. And so Drew is working out just as far as strength, so much better than me. Like, oh my gosh. But I can outrun him and if we ever got in a fight, I'm pretty trained myself and I would just run. It's easy.
That's, you know what? That's it. Fight or flight.
That's it.
I'd flight.
Yeah.
If Drew came at me bowed up, I'd flight.
That's it. That's a smart thing.
That's what I got. That's so everyone out there, if Drew Limbacher is coming at you angry, flight. That's the advice we got here. But everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you later today at 4:00 when we got Drew Limbacher, the COO of Venture Energy. I want to thank Cody and Mike for doing this for the tacos. Sorry we didn't get to I'm gonna eat the tacos after, but I really enjoyed this, fellas. And obviously check them out on LinkedIn. Go to their page and kind of see what they're doing. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff in the works, and just kind of watching them grow. Great people to meet, to say hello to, and just that's it. Introduce yourself. So I dig it.
Thanks, man.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks
Appreciate
for tuning in, and we will see y'all. Anything else? I don't think so.
We are all good.
I think we are good, and I need to hit end up there, unless you want to do that.